Hello, everybody. I am back. Sorry about being away so long. Anyway, I'm going to start a new series here, which is I'm going to be calling an ink along. So basically, I've got uploaded blue lines to my DeviantArt page that you can download and print out, and you can ink along with me, and I will show you exactly how to ink. We will start off with something easy like this. This is a cover shot from Darksiders. Basically, go through all the basics first before we get into, and then eventually down the road, probably the next couple pages will be actual comic pages, which will be panels and everything like that. So as we start off, we will go slow and then get into the good stuff. Well, this is actually really good stuff, but we're starting off with Joe Mad's War, I believe, from Darksiders. I guess it's just a promo cover. So we will start off slow with some line weight, and we will. I'll try to get this done in a couple of videos, and then from there we'll go on to panel work. All right, so let's get her done. So basically, what you're going to start off with, we'll just basically be holding lines. So we'll do his arm first, and with his big sickle. And I'll show you. The way I ink is a little different than everybody else. Everybody else just basically follows the lines. It doesn't add anything that, and just hands it in and says, "There you go." But the way I was taught was basically taught myself is, just take a bunch of people that you like in the industry, like other inkers like Danny Mickey, Joe Weems, Scott Williams, even some pencilers too, and then just add it all into your inking regime. As you'll see different things that I add when I ink that'll be swiped from other people, and it'll be just adds a different finesse to my inks. All right, so we'll just start right here. We'll start off with just like how he's got his sickle blade handle inked right here is pretty good compared to the last page that I looked at. But this one actually looks like it was it's actual wrap, whereas before it's usually just look like it's spandex or something like that, right? And just basically painted on. But this is actually really good. So we'll start with what I like to do is just do my holding lines first. Holding lines are your outside lines, right? And basically, the more you get your line weight, right? Try not to, do not, I repeat, do not follow the lines exactly. Try to put as much line weight as you possibly can into your work, right? Because that'll give you more life, right? If you're doing this with a tech pen, then go ahead and you know do your thing with your tech pens and everything like that. But the only problem I got with tech pens is there's no line variancy at all with it. So you basically have to double line everything, right? So the other thing is too is when you're throwing like your lines, right? Try to throw your lines in one go with your line weight if possible, because it just looks a lot cleaner, right? It's just like if you go like if you were to go slow, you'd be like, here we go, slow, See, it's just a bad looking line, right? Right? It's not crisp, it's not clear, it just looks like, But if you go, like this, right? But if you're able to do that with just one line weight, one shot, right? See, and then you go up, right? And you can come in and clean it up later, right? But that's pretty much, right? And same with here, right? So if you want to go throw a line from say this point here to this point here, just go back and forth a couple times before you actually hit that line, right? And then just go, back and forth. Okay, go throw the line, throw the line, throw the line, and then throw it, right? I always like to put another happy little line underneath. That's what I call my J. Scott Campbell line. It just gives you line weight, right? shows extra because you're basically most of your sun is basically coming down. It'll be coming down at an angle, right? Find out where it's coming from. But generally, it always comes down like that, right? It's basically hills and valleys. So let us continue with this. Okay, the holding lines are basically done on here. So now we're going to do the interior lines. And the interior lines are always nice and thin, right? But you also got to remember that it's just flicks. That's all it is. It's just flicks, right? Right? Just flick it out like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And then once you're done with it, it'll look totally different than what was actually inked. Because you're not only doing that, but you're also adding more line weight, very lot of line weight. And see how I'm not even actually closing the lines off? Is because if you don't, it all gets reduced down anyway. So once it's reduced, you will you won't see the distance anyway. It's only for when you're full size, right? Right, and then in here, right, I just like to leave a little halo and then go like this. These are just for blacks, right? If I was doing regular blacks, I'd just do. They do have a bucket fill for this for that, but I find that since I don't close my lines, it's a real pain in the ass. So I just use the lasso fill, which is basically a lot easier. So basically here I'll just show you a lasso fill. So these go like this, and then go like this, and then close that again. So basically just right. Right, it's just a lot easier, right? As opposed to just sitting there and filling it in. And I tell you, it's a lot different inking this way than it is doing it with a brush. It takes forever, especially doing your filling in your blacks. So just go in, add your line weight. Always add your line weight as much as possible. When you're bringing in your feathering, remember this is dark, so it's going to be light on top, thick on the bottom. So basically, just think of it as a triangle, right? Think of it as a triangle, right? This is your black, right? Which is always marked with an X, right? So basically, you want this going into the black, but feathered out, right? So, right, so, and you just pull down, right? Pull down. Yeah, don't be scared to follow the inks exactly. You can, it's the easiest way to learn is by following the inks exactly. But I would suggest you go through something that's a little bit more complicated than this when you're learning. Like go through, I don't know, like get a Top Cow page if you can, right? And look at the inks. If you can get the inks and the pencils, and put them side by side, and then you can see exactly what they did, right? Then you'll understand why they did that, right? And what they did. So right now I'm just doing the inside, right? Okay, your inside lines are always going to be smaller, thinner than your holding lines. Always, always, always. Right? Create depth. Right, this line here should be a little thicker. And the easiest thing, you can also, it's easier to add ink, then take it away. You know, one thing I've always taught myself is that it's whiteout is basically for effect only. You shouldn't have it on your page except for effect. If you can, just train yourself not to use it. So this thing I'm just doing more holding lines here. Remember, your holding lines are nice thick, but always try to keep it as variant as much as you can. Oops, bird running around. Not. Sorry, my bird's eating my keyboard. Stop it. Stop it. Okay, I'll continue here with his arm. Yeah, don't be afraid to, okay, the light is coming down from there, right? So basically, when you're adding all this stuff, you just, it's going to be a high point there and a low point there. So you know that the light is going to be the thinnest up there, and it's going to be the darkest down here, right? So go in like that. And since this is supposed to be bone, right? And he's got it all nice and clean, and so that's an ugly line. Don't be afraid to make it look like bone, right? So basically what I'm doing is just adding character, so to speak. I mean, you got to remember, this is just for fun, right? This is what you're going to be showing your editors. And, this is going to be like a fancy page for, one of the first couple pages that you show for an editor, right? It's going to be like a wow page, right? So go to town, don't be scared to, the last thing the editor wants to see is, oh, I got another tracer. No offense, I'm not trying to be different as anybody else, right? Sorry, I turn the page a lot, but then your inside lines. He's just got a couple here, right? But I want to create depth, right? And even though he's just labeled it as it's just black, sometimes it's best to just, I don't like to have two different types of blacks close together, right? It's easier to break one of them up and then line it out. Almost like what Danny Mickey does. Just break it up as much as you can, right? Don't make it smooth. It's supposed to be bone, right? So it's not supposed to be nice and, sorry, bird running all over the place. But try to, break it up. Come here. Sorry, bird is distracting me. That's what happens when you get free reign of the house. And he doesn't like it when none of his attention is brought to him. So getting right along right here. See, as you can see now, I'm doing a little bit of inside lines. Always remember your light source. And remember, inside lines nice and thin. Holding lines nice and thick. Right now, if you look at it, see, I just poppity pop, right? That's what you want, right? Just always think when you're inking this, think of it as 3D. right? The fan on my Surface Pro is just howling right now, so that's probably what you're hearing. It's yelling at me, stop it, it's too much, I can't keep up. Oh well. So just basically doing holding lines, right? And then in here, when you get into pulls, is what I used to call them, pulls. That's what one of my friends told me they were called pulls. But yeah, just going into the black, right? Just like anything, right? And pull it in. Right. And from there, remember this is light hitting up top, so don't connect the dots. This is just black areas. Right. Yeah, this Joe Mad is so much fun to ink. You could just go to town on his stuff. Mind you, you wouldn't do this for professional work. First thing you do is you'd ask him, "What can I do? What can I do?" You know, worst comes to worst, you'd show him examples of what this is what I plan on doing with you. Is it okay, or you don't want to destroy his artwork, right? It's not him anymore, right? So that's why it's the best thing to do is just find out what he wants, find out what they want, right? Find out what any artist wants before you go in and hand something in, and the editor goes, "What the fuck is this?" Sorry, but you know, be faithful to the work, right? But put your own spin on it too, right? Because even though that I am putting my spin on it, I am still, in the end, you still know it as Joe Mad, right? It's not like it's gonna look like Jim Lee or something or Silvestri. Well, actually, I can if I wanted to, but it's just a whole different inking pattern, right? You have to know what people like to ink, right? What it's like, what like other people have inked. Like if you're inking like Silvestri, you want to ink like Bat, right? Or right, or if you're inking like Mike Turner, you want to ink like D-Tron or Joe Weems, right? Or Benitez, the Joe Weems, right? See there, I just changed that altogether because you get the light source, right? Always remember, always more important is all your inside lines are always thin. That's the one thing that I always see. Is people in their ink, they always have all their lines are all the same weight. And I know who's gonna think that I'm ragging on them, but I'm not, because I see it all the time, even with professional inkers. Right? So just slowly going here. And as we go along, I'll just start filling in blacks. Actually, I should be doing that as we go, but when you're going into a block, when you just got a line here like that, make sure that you flick it out, right? So you flick it out, because then it's, right? Because if you just did the line, it just wouldn't look very good, right? It just look like a line coming out of a solid block. So if you feather it out, right, it actually look better. And here, yeah. Remember, top there. Like I said, my stuff is very stylized, so right. And actually, in here, since your line is crossing over there, right? I don't like that, but I'll do that. Oh, great! Now I got a cat up here too. Yeah, the real Addams family here. So now I'll just do some fill here, just so you can see what's been done. Right. What's wrong? The cat's whining. Yeah, for me the lasso fill is just so much easier than the autofill or bucket fill, because it's just, you can just get so, you can get really good at it, right? And it's just so easy to fill, like what you take seconds to do, which if you're doing it with brush, God, it could take you half a day to do, right? I mean, it's just so much easier. Now, if you pull out, there you go. So you're done in that so little time, right? So let's get back into inking here. Like I said, this will probably be split up in a couple videos. So go back to there. I know I should have hotkeys, but all right. And so the light's coming down, but you're surrounded by black anyway, right? Because you got black here and black here, so you probably want to halo that out. If you don't know what a halo is, then I'll show you right in a second. Basically, halo is separating two blocks with a white line. And if worse comes to worse, if you're stuck, you know, generally like stuff like this is pretty much the easiest stuff you could probably get when you're inking, right? So when in doubt, just do exactly what's on the page, right? Can't go wrong there, right? Oops, sorry, I like to turn the page a lot. And say pulls. right? More pulls. You can add more pulls or take away more pulls. You can make your pulls thicker or thinner, but always remember what your light source is, right? This and there, this and there, this and there. This and there. Yeah, this stuff's really easy to ink. Pretty much you need to turn your brain off of the door and just have fun. Yeah, just remember just to vary your lines as much as possible. This is Scott Williams told me, so don't make your inks flat. You know, try to bring as much line weight as you can. Makes it more alive, right? That's why I like ink. That's the main reason I like inking with a brush, right? It's just so you can add stuff there. Stella, my cat. She's always so curious what I'm doing. See, we're almost halfway done this piece already. I could probably do this piece in an hour and a half, right? But I don't think you guys want to sit around and listen to me babble for an hour and a half. That's why I want to do these in a couple videos. So right, just remember that you're holding lines, separation lines, right? Once we get into the panel work, that's where you'll be like, you know, really start to see this come into effect, right? But we're just doing like pinup work, so this is basically just fun stuff. Then we'll get into like textures, rocks, trees, right? I'll try to get panels that have all these as much as you can into a page, so I can teach you all about it in one shot. Whereas jumping from page to page, panel to panel, we'll still do the full page, but if I can get everything with like foreground, background, cityscape, you know, along with foliage and you know everything else, you know, it's what everybody wants to see, right? That's what editors want to see. They want to see, you know, how you can handle just not like superhero poses, but they also want to see how you can do backgrounds and everything else, right? It'd be nice to do, you know, being a pinup inker for the rest of your life, but that's very far and in between. And when we get to his sickle, to me it's just too clean, right? So you just go to town, right? Push, pull. Makes it look worn, more than it already is. I don't even get people screaming at me, it's not penciled that way. And I'll tell you, I don't care. Because this is just for fun. Right? See, nice and thin. Right? Go around. Right. This is black here. So just block that in. If I really wanted to, I could just block in the whole thing with just blacks right away, which is what I usually do. Just do all my blacks and then just go in and fill it out, right, with all your line weights and everything else later. But since I'm teaching purposes, I will right, bone. See, this is over top this back here, so this has got to be thicker. Just think of it as 3D, right? Think of it all as 3D. Right. I'll throw some happy little lines in here. And some happy little lines in there. And since he's got that going down to the black, right. See, okay, he's got back to this. Okay, so we're back to the wrap again here. So let's just say, hold on, I'm just gonna. Right, so remember it's flick, right? Flick, 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 flick. Right. And these you can actually do a halo around if you want to, because it's just gonna be right next to black anyway, right? So you're not really gonna see it like that. Just create a little halo in between. Right. Thick lines, thin lines. That's all you got to remember. Thick lines, thin lines. And you'll find that it's so easy. Right. Now if you just zoom out, okay, well, I'm going to leave this here for now. And I'll be back within the next couple days and we'll probably finish it off. All right? Thanks.